Hello everyone, and welcome back to Secrets Behind the Stars. I hope your day's going smoothly, because what we're unpacking right now has left even seasoned industry insiders staring at their screens. We're diving into the uproar around a tuba that was struck, the wave of hot takes that followed, and the way Engin's words set the whole conversation on fire. And yes, the heart of it all intersects with the lives of the couple that so many of you are invested in, Cenk Toran and Mahasine Merabet. The way this unfolded around them, and the way the commentary spiraled, has become the talk of sets, studios, and social feeds. Before we get into the thick of it, ask yourself this: have you ever witnessed a moment so odd and unexpected that it froze you in place? That's the kind of energy hanging over this story. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe to Secrets Behind the Stars and tap that bell so you don't miss any of the twists we're about to trace. Because trust me, what looked like a small mishap became a mirror reflecting things no one saw coming. Here's the central spark. At a rehearsal for a charity gala where Cenk and Mahasine were slated to make a joint appearance, a tuba ended up getting hit. Not nudged. Hit. There are whispers about who or what made contact and why, and hovering over all those whispers are Engin's comments, which managed to be so unexpected that people can't stop quoting, arguing, and trying to decode them. Start with the moment itself. Some say it was a backstage shuffle, a technician hurrying a prop cart, a slippery patch on polished flooring, and the bell of the tuba catching the worst of it. Others insist it was closer to the loading bay, traffic intersecting with rehearsal chaos, a door swinging open, a collision that sent the instrument spinning with a dull, aching thud. And because it's the entertainment world, someone always suggests it happened in the most dramatic way possible. A drone camera miscalibrated at soundcheck, swooping too low as the orchestra was settling in, clipping the tuba and giving everyone a memory they didn't ask for. But the center of gravity isn't the exact angle of the impact, it's the aftermath. The conversation zeroed in not on who would pay for repairs or timelines for replacements, but on the remarks from Engin. Depending on who you ask, Engin is a musician with a notorious ear, a culture critic with a cult following, a fierce advocate for instruments and the people who play them, or simply a figure whose words arrive with the power to set an entire timeline blinking red. What matters is that when Engin spoke, the room flipped. Reports say the first comments appeared online, then popped up again in a podcast, and then resurfaced in a clipped interview. Some call the tone philosophical. Others say it was razor-sharp and dry. A few swear there was tenderness in it, the kind that shows up when you're less concerned with blame and more with what it all means. And that is where Cenk and Mahasine come in, because they were there, because this was their night to rehearse, because the tuba belonged to the band anchoring their big charitable moment. Let's not skip over who they are in this particular setting. Cenk, steady and unbothered by spectacle when the cameras are off, has the kind of presence that makes chaos fall in line. Mahasine, equal parts poised and perceptive, notices everything and responds with care. Together, they've built a rhythm, a partnership that resists noise even as it's constantly surrounded by it. Which is why the tremor in the air when a lumbering brass instrument takes a hit under their roof feels like more than an accident. It becomes an echo chamber for expectations and interpretations. So how did Engin frame it? If the impact was minor, some say his take arrived dressed like an elegy for something larger than metal and valves. If the damage was heavy, others claim he dodged melodrama and leaned into humor, as if to tug the conversation away from panic and toward perspective. One version of the quote making the rounds claims Engin called the tuba a vessel for breath that turns silence into a statement the moment it was struck, and whether those exact words are his or not, the idea sticks. Suddenly everyone is arguing about the soul of objects, the fragility of art, and the way accidents press against the stories we're already telling ourselves. What complicates it further is the platform. A sentence tossed into a late-night tweet reads differently than a careful paragraph in an interview. On a podcast, a spontaneous riff can sound like a manifesto. In a panel discussion, it can land as a provocation. One clip shows Engin speaking softly, almost amused. Another transcript renders him startlingly direct. That volatility made the whole thing snowball, especially once fans began connecting it to Cenk and Mahasine's dynamic. Because here's the heartbeat. People want to know how the couple reacted. Those close to the stage say Cenk stepped in immediately, checked on the musician, and kept the room calm in the way he does. Low voice, clear instructions, eye contact that lands like a steady hand on a shoulder. They say Mahasin knelt beside the horn, asked about the repairs, and spoke with the conductor like someone who knows how to protect a moment without turning it into a spectacle. That picture matters. It sets a tone. It invites one kind of commentary, and then Engin arrives with something else entirely, a reframe that refuses easy comfort. The question that keeps surfacing, who is Engin, really? Is he the same Engin, just caught under a hurried transcription? Or is Engin a different person entirely, another voice amplifying the thread and taking it somewhere stranger? And then there's Enin, the version of the name that drifted in through a caption and never left, spawning a dozen new interpretations. Some insiders claim these are all the same person. Others argue the misspellings became a chorus of commentators, merging until you couldn't tell one take from the next. The only constant is that the name, Engin, Enin, carried enough gravity to bend the conversation around it. Now, imagine the instrument itself. Was it a beloved tuba with history embedded in the lacquer, its dents and shine retelling decades of rehearsal rooms and concert halls? Or was it a rental, important but replaceable, symbol rather than relic? If it was historic, trivializing the impact would sting. If it was standard, turning it into an existential fable might feel overwrought. That's the tightrope Engin seemed determined to walk, or stomp across, depending on your view. There's a rumor that Engin suggested the tuba was more than hardware. That the way it was struck mirrored how the industry treats quiet labor, the slow, steady currents that hold a show together while the spotlight chases faces. Another account says he shrugged and said sometimes a horn gets bumped, and the real test is how people behave in the minute after. Either way, both lines travel back to Cenk and Mahasin, because their minute after was visible. You could read their choices, their body language, their insistence on not letting a mishap swallow what they came there to do. But what if the surprise is simpler? Maybe Engin used humor so deadpan that no one knew whether to laugh. Maybe the room expected outrage and got philosophy, or expected poetry and got a clinical breakdown of stage logistics. Maybe he described air and brass and echo with such odd intensity that the internet couldn't help itself. When someone admired by many speaks in a register no one anticipated, the shock steals the show. And if there's a history of him dropping takes that cut across the grain, then the expectation of surprise was already primed. The bolder speculation, of course, is the one everyone pretends not to entertain. Could Engin have been involved in the impact itself? If he was near the wing when the horn toppled, if he brushed past a stand, if a gesture set a chain of small motions in play, then what reads like commentary might also be self-examination, or deflection. That theory refuses to die, not because there's proof, but because the story loves a twist that folds the commentator back into the plot. Still, most accounts keep him squarely in the realm of witness and interpreter, and the thrill of his words is less about confession than the way they reframed a moment that didn't deserve to be boring. Then there's the couple again, standing in the center because they always are. For Cenk, it becomes another test of steadiness, another chance to let patience be the anchor. For Mahasin, it's a reminder that grace is not passive. It organizes people, protects craft, and stays gentle even when the room shudders. Together, they're not the cause, not the target, but the figures everyone watches to find the temperature of the scene. Their supporters quote the way they handled it. Their critics search for a crack. And the debate floats above them, buzzing and bright. Consider another version that made the rounds. A stagehand swears the tuba rolled off a riser when a stool was shifted for a quick camera test. Expected consequence, a bland apology, a repair ticket, a memo sent and forgotten. Unexpected reality, Engin turns it into a meditation on sound and silence. One witness said he called the horn's stillness, a roar that you only hear when you're paying attention. Another says he described the bump as proof that the smallest nudge can alter the room's entire vocabulary. Whatever you think of those lines, they do something to your brain. For a second, you stop thinking about price tags and start thinking about meaning. And yet meaning collides with perception. Depending on how the quote reached you, it either made you roll your eyes or made you want to listen differently the next time Brass and Breath shared a stage. That divide is what keeps the story alive. If you came expecting bloodless logistics, you were stunned by the lyricism. If you came for romance and art, you might have been shocked by how swiftly he anchored the talk in responsibility and planning. The way Engin, or Engin adjusted the lens, that's what everyone remembers. The influence piece matters. If a random passerby had posted the same thoughts, they would have been a passing breeze. But with Engin's reputation in the frame, every syllable lands like a pebble in a lake, ripples widening until they lap at places he never aimed to reach. That includes the couple's timeline. Fans clipped photos of Cenk steadying the stand and Mahaseen brushing dust off a case, turning these small gestures into screensavers and discourse. Others insisted the whole thing was overblown, that accidents happen and mystifying them misses the point. But the conversation had already set itself in motion. In the end, what's so arresting is how a simple, unglamorous mishap became a prism. It fractured into conversations about the care we owe to craft, about the drama we create around everyday chaos, and about the meaning we pour into words when they come from someone who matters to us. It reminds us that a story isn't just an event, it's the chorus of interpretations that trail behind it, the way a couple like Cenk Toran and Mahaseen Merabet holds the center, and the way a voice like Engin's can tilt the room. So here we are, circling back to where we started. A tuba was hit. People looked for culprits, explanations, and price tags. Instead, the lines that rose above the noise were surprising, puzzling, strangely beautiful to some and infuriating to others. Maybe that's what we carry from this, how a rehearsal hiccup showed us the contours of taste and temperament, how it nudged fans to argue and laugh and sigh, how it asked Cenk and Mahaseen to be exactly what they so often are. Composed, attentive, unafraid to let a moment be complex without letting it become everything. Tell us what you think. Did Engin open a door you didn't expect? Was Engin simply the same voice in a different light, or did Engin push the thread in a new direction? Do you believe the theory that he set the accident in motion, or do you see him as a commentator whose timing made an ordinary moment unforgettable? Drop your thoughts below. We'll be reading, comparing, and bringing the sharpest takes into future videos. If you found this story as riveting as we did, tap like, share it with the friend who always has an angle you haven't thought of, and make sure you're subscribed to Secrets Behind the Stars. We'll keep following every beat around Cenk Toran and Mahaseen Merabet, tracking how a single spark can light up an entire conversation. Until next time, take care. And keep listening for the unexpected in the spaces everyone else calls silence.